dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good Sunday evening to you. I'm Dakota Makris. Thank you so much for staying up with us. Well, it's almost been 2 months since the catastrophic flooding hit Eastern Kentucky communities, and Knott County was among those areas hit the hardest. But now the county's schools are opening tomorrow. Over in Lexington, one group is taking action through planned and organized locations. Julia Sandor has more.
Kevin, which way you want the hangers?
In the back of Rayalana in Lexington, there are more than 21,000 items waiting to be packed up and sent to Eastern Kentucky. Whether it's furniture, toys, or clothing, all of these items will be heading to a new home in Knott or Letcher County.
There's so many people in Kentucky that need that right now, and we're so glad that we can do our part with the help of our community.
She says these areas need children's items the most, and with school beginning on Monday in Knott County, they say they hope these donations have a positive impact.
Well, I hope the folks of Eastern Kentucky know that they're not alone, and there's folks all across the Commonwealth of Kentucky that are continuing to make sure that we are putting their needs first, and we can help make sure that their little ones have a smile on their face every day, especially as they're getting ready to start back to school.
They encourage people to come out to the donation sites and pick up whatever they need. She says as time continues to pass, they want the people of Eastern Kentucky to know they will continue to do their part to help and be by their side.
Well, we're just Kentuckians stick together, man. We're so excited about that. It takes a lot of people and it takes a village to make this happen. And we are so grateful for everyone that has had a part in that, and we're so excited to be able to pay it forward.
They say although it's been a long and hard process, it will all be worth it in the long run.
That was Julia Sandor reporting, and they'll be taking all of these donations to Knott and Letcher counties tomorrow morning. Well, as communities continue recovering from historic flooding, organizations like Feeding East Kentucky are continuing to serve impacted areas. WYMT's Alyssa Williams tells us about the organization's mission.
What began as an act of kindness for a friend impacted by the flood.
So I go home, get some food together, and go help him that evening. Contacted her the next day and said, hey, we got to feed some people. We're going to have some folks really hungry by the time we get there.
Has now turned into more than 70,000 meals distributed across the region.
And the farther we go, the worse we'd see the devastation every day, and then we would get volunteers to say, can you hit another area today? Can you go a little deeper, a little farther? And so that's every day just kept growing.
Tanya Shepard Hatfield and Brent Handshoe eventually turned their mission into a 501c nonprofit called Feeding East Kentucky. And on Sunday, the pair set up at the Mind-Made Adventure Park in Knott County.
Tomorrow school starts. So hopefully this meal we're preparing today can help feed some tummies so they can get to school tomorrow and get a hot meal at school tomorrow.
The two were not only there to feed people, but to donate sports equipment for the kids staying at the park and to donate supplies to equip some of the campers there.
It's about just giving each other a helping hand right now in a time when we all need it.
Aiming to help people like Brenda Sasevsky, who has been living at the park for the past month.
It's very nice that people will do that for you, that still thinking of you after all this time, that they would still come up here and still see if you need anything.
Handshoe says their work isn't done anytime soon.
It's a humanitarian crisis that we're facing right now in Eastern Kentucky. And if we can get this word out to the world, that's what we got to do.
Hoping to feed the needs of Eastern Kentucky. In Knott County, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Feeding East Kentucky will be serving communities again next weekend. To keep up with where the organization will be set up in the future, you can visit its Facebook page.
Another quiet night is in store across the mountains, and that summer heat is going to continue into your new work week. Here is a live look tonight over in Rockcastle County at I-75 and Mount Vernon as we are looking at clear conditions back in the distance. Temperatures right now in the middle to lower 60s, 63 for Hazard, 62 in Manchester, still sitting at 70 this hour in Jackson, already down to 58 over in Clintwood. A clean sweep on satellite and radar. We are looking at dry conditions continuing into tonight, all thanks to high pressure just off towards the east, and that forecast looks pretty good. Low temperatures falling into the lower 60s, maybe some patchy fog, especially early on your Monday. And like I said, that summer heat is going to continue, but we're also tracking a big cool down by the end of the week. I have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Dakota.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Well, the flood caused plans to be postponed across the region, but WYMT's Chandler Wilcox reports on how the damage did not stop an Isom couple from completing a dream.
Here in the yard.
Kevin and Teresa got engaged last Christmas Eve and planned to marry September 10th. A lovely front yard ceremony it would be. Then flooding hit on July 28th.
We didn't think we'd be able to have it here because it was such a mess.
Water got to their porch, making an event held in less than 2 months seem impossible. But
God, what am I trying to say?
He made a way. He made a way. He did.
Kevin and Teresa worked every day to clean up the mess, and out of pain came beauty. Even a last-second scare would not triumph.
It rained till about 4:45 that day, and I told him that morning, I said, it's gonna stop raining in time for the wedding.
The couple then got married with relatives and friends gathering under a trellis resembling perseverance.
But I was able to get it finished and get it built, and that's where we got married.
That trellis will now stand at the bridge leading into their yard as a memory.
We're gonna mount it there permanent. That'll be a continuous reminder of our wedding day.
A beautiful home with an inspiring story. In Isom, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, the couple says wedding guests were surprised yet delighted with how much the place changed since flooding. Well, Governor Andy Beshear will be here in Eastern Kentucky tomorrow to join local leaders and hand out the first payments of money allocated during the special legislative session for flood victims. Well, he'll start in Knott and Letcher counties alongside judge executives and state representatives. His day will continue with infrastructure announcements and other state funding being doled out in Floyd and Greenup counties. The Kentucky Supreme Court has suspended an Eastern Kentucky prosecutor who promised to help a defendant in exchange for nude photos. Ronnie Goldie is the Commonwealth's attorney for Bath, Menifee, Montgomery, and Rowan counties. Although the court temporarily suspended him, it said in its Friday order that only the General Assembly can remove Goldie from office through impeachment. The Courier-Journal previously reported that Goldie exchanged 230 pages of Facebook messages with a woman defendant. Goldie has testified that he doesn't remember sending them. The woman has said Goldie withdrew warrants and had cases continued in exchange for photos. She also said that she had sex with the prosecutor. Convicted school shooter Michael Carneal gets his first chance at parole nearly 25 years after the deadly attack at Heath High School in Paducah. The Kentucky Parole Board will conduct Carneal's parole hearings beginning tomorrow. That's when victims of the December 1997 shooting and their families will get the chance to address the board. Board members will question Carneal himself on Tuesday. Carneal has been held at the Kentucky State Reformatory since he pleaded guilty but mentally ill to the deadly shootings. Now, he is the first school shooter in Kentucky to be eligible for parole, and he could become the first in the U.S. to be granted parole. Well, coming up here at 11, the war in Ukraine pushes on, but new pressure continues to be placed on Russian forces.
And the summer heat continues into your new work week, but we're also tracking a possible cool down. I have all those details coming up.